The Human Target issue 3, Tom King with Greg Smallwood. A lot of Guy Gardner in this issue.
A lot of Booster Gold too.
Actually, I will say this book had like 2 or 3 amazing jokes. I found myself laughing a lot in this. It's definitely the funniest that I've seen King write Booster, because he had a couple of zingers in this.
It helps when he's not trying to push an existential dread vibe with Booster, because the last 2 times we've seen him write Booster was in Batman and in the title that we won't name, and it was just like this existential dread that he's in denial.
So there's a few jokes in this. There's one with Guy that I really like. Well, it's not Guy specifically; it's just more Chance. Right. But so moment in this where Chance tricks Guy, who's made like a Green Lantern car to drive in. He tricks him into like getting crashed into by this big truck, and in his narration he says, well, the ring will protect the driver of the truck, and probably Guy too, but then again it is forced to be with him every day, so who knows. That really made me laugh. And then the 2 Booster moments that really made me laugh is Booster's opening his new bagel shop, and he's going to cut the ribbon, and Skates is like, use scissors, and Booster's like, no, I've got a laser. He's like, you're going to break something. No, I'm not. And he shoots the laser into the ribbon, it smashes the window, and Booster justifies it afterwards by saying, come on, Skeets, the same thing would have happened if I'd used scissors. And Skeets just goes, I know. That made me laugh so much.
I know when this got teased, it's like, this is not the Justice League International book, because it is Human Target. But it kind of low-key is a Justice League International book, in that
it definitely respects that as a thing.
Yeah. In between this and that issue of Miracle, Mr. Miracle, where we had the blue and the yellow and the green and the gold, the whole thing when he goes out drinking with Booster and Ted. I wanted Tom King like Justice League International just to see what he would do, because his characterization of Guy Gardner here, who we all know I love Guy Gardner, right? I did not like Guy Gardner in this, and I feel like I got worked.
He's a complete prick, right? Who is obsessive about how he treats Ice. Like, he keeps showing up to like defend Ice when he's just a jealous ex-boyfriend, effectively.
Right, but he also keeps calling her a 4-letter word.
He does,
which I'm gonna assume is the worst thing you can call somebody.
Well,
right?
I don't know if it is. It may just be a case of he's just saying bitch, but it's like,
okay. Either way, I mean, that's.
I mean, don't get me wrong. The idea that Guy Gardner is just casually referring to a woman with a C-bomb like throughout this issue is kind of insanely like dark.
Can I throw in the T word as well? That would also fit for 4 letters and be also very bad to use for women.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Right, and so he's using a 4-letter word to but he's also talking about how much he still loves her, but also at the same time he's talking to Chance about be careful, she's manipulative, and you can't trust her. And it just gave me these vibes like he's an abusive a-hole.
I just assumed it was bitch, but it was just the symbols weren't 1-to-1 like the letters. That's just what I assumed.
Either way, the intent's there, that it's supposed to be shocking.
Yeah, I mean, definitely how you felt about the character still came through with that.
Yeah, right. So, and then at the same time, I felt like Booster's characterization is, this is the Booster that I love, right? Is just the guy that can't get out of his own way, even when he tries. And Skeets is there trying to correct him.
Well, what's interesting about it is, like, Chance even comments that, Booster makes a lot of mistakes, but he doesn't hide them. He kind of like wears them on his sleeve, so it makes him a bit more likable. Actually, the other thing that really made me laugh is that when so the plot of this issue, other than Guy interfering constantly, is that Ice takes Christopher to meet Booster, and they sit down and have a chat. And so there's a moment where he sits down and says, so you're Christopher Chance, the Human Target. And they talk for a bit, and then Booster's like, I don't really trust you, Human Target, if that's your real name. And Skeets goes, his real name is Christopher Chance. You already know this.
It's so perfect.
Like the comedy here was, and I wouldn't say I'm specifically a Booster fan, but I was loving the Booster stuff in this issue.
But you know how much of a buffoon he is, right? So that's understood. And for him to go, yeah, that's what he would want me to think. And Skeets just interjecting, he's like, no, that's who he is. You know this.
Yeah.
He's not deceiving you.
Yeah. So Guy like basically shows up in the middle of the night, and there's a bit of an interaction. When Christopher wakes up in the morning, like, you know, Ice is there, and like she's there to help him, And the narration continues this idea that he's obviously falling for her. He wants to trust her, but doesn't know for sure that she's not the killer. And there's some great moments in there. There's a moment after the Green Lantern cars crashed where she's looking back and he's still driving, and just I thought the art in that panel, like the faces, is just exceptional. The shading.
I'm gonna get out of the way. The art here is just fantastic because for all of those great moments like that, there are these smaller understated moments that happen between the panels, right? Just like of Booster picking up a bagel, right? Like it's just a small moment.
There's no pre-toasted bagels at Booster's Bagels.
No, there are pre-toasted, but that's not a thing except at Boosters. Is the whole at Boosters Bagels?
No, that's not the joke. The joke is he's using it as a selling point that there's no pre-toasting here, and then Skates is like, "There's no such thing as pre-toasted. Right. It's not a selling point."
Yeah,
it's definitely not a thing at Boosters Bagels.
Right. But yeah, so there's these little things that are going on there that are just fantastic. That Smallwood's so good.
Yeah, it's wonderful stuff. When they leave after the meeting, like Guy has already he's destroyed his car, because obviously he technically destroyed his car. And basically Ice like fires up her powers and is ready to take him on, and takes on Guy properly. And like basically Christopher's like attracted to her even more because of how much power it takes to break through a Green Lantern's power, and she does with hers.
Yeah, and it's not just the power though; it's how much sway she still has over Guy.
Yeah.
Right. It's like deep down, Guy knows that Ice can't really break through because it is the Green Lantern ring, but she can cause that dip in his will that can get through.
Yeah.
And it honestly just makes her feel more dangerous to me.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They go for dinner, which it cuts over, and then it's like him driving her home. And his narration, he's like, "Whatever you do, don't get out of the car. Do not get out of the car." And she even says, "Hey, do you want to come in?" I can make, because they're talking about talking to Ted, because it's like, okay, we've talked to Booster. He seems to not be the killer, but he's got this secret ingredient for the water. Maybe that's tied to Ted. So they're going to talk to Ted next, right? We're going to set that up for tomorrow. And it's like, hey, do you want to come in? Because I can talk to Ted on the phone and maybe see how his initial reaction is like. And he does refuse. He politely refuses. And in his narration, he's like, okay, good, right, I've done the thing. And then immediately he opens the car door and says, "Let me walk you to the door, though." And then the narration box is just like an F-bomb, like censored. And it's like, this is so good how we're inside his head, and like him fighting against himself and giving into it. And like even she teases him a little bit when she's like closing the door. It's like, I've overcame your expectations. Well, it's a shame you're not coming in to see what other expectations I meet or exceed. And it's just this moment where she's closing the door, and the line of light of the door closing is on his face. It's perfect. And it's like, is she being really nice to him? Is she a femme fatale? What is this? It's playing it perfectly.
And I know the last issue really played up on her, how Overmaster and Luther did her dirty by her dying and whatnot. So her being this invested shouldn't be as a surprise, but it feels like a game. Right, yeah. That she's leading him along for whatever reason, and just like the line that she says, like, "Wow, you sure drink a lot," right? Like, so she's noticing things about him too, as much as he's noticing things about her, and just it's a dynamic that is really, really, really well handled.
Yeah, and then Guy shows up again just to harass him some more for continually talking to, quote unquote, his girl, and that's his attitude throughout the whole issue. So again, Guy's a complete prick. And then Hal Jordan shows up seemingly and says, "Hey, you know the rules. Like, you agreed to give me your ring or lose it forever if you act out of line." And Guy does, and then it's revealed that this actually isn't Hal. This is actually his friend, who's wearing one of his Luigi, who's wearing one of his fancy face masks that his human target he has. And it turns out that they've borrowed a Legion ring, so that's how Hal flies in, because he doesn't have a real Green Lantern ring, but he flies in.
Borrowed? He Chance swiped it from Booster.
Borrowed. He borrowed a Legion ring.
And then we got to get this back to Booster before he goes and tries to fly. That line killed me too.
Yeah. So then Christopher, after Guy gives up his ring, knocks out Guy with a punch. which is when all this is revealed, and then he's like, I don't care what you do with the Green Lantern ring you just got from Guy. Do what you want with it. So that's the end of the issue. So I mean, obviously Guy being tricked here at the end, which, and this is the thing, even, I joke about not liking Guy. I think in this issue, on its own merits, he's earned being tricked and punched at the end because he's been such a dick.
100%. I do like Guy, and I hated him in this issue, and that's just the strength of the writing from King here to make him that unlikable. And
but not
again,
in a way.
Just to throw in, I like Guy, and he always deserves being punched in the face.
But you're saying that it makes him unlikable, but not in a way that it feels like he's betraying the character. Just in the sense that he's a bit too Guy for even you in this issue. Yeah,
and just like, again, he came off as even just slightly abusive, which again gels with his character.
JLI?
I'm sure Matt's read some.
Not in a very long time.
Oh,
that's very much the portrayal Guy has in that book.
Yeah.
Early days Guy. He is very much that.
So you're saying that King, like, is that he's definitely familiar with this material. He's not just pulling this out of
as well as using those characters. He's clearly using the characterization of the characters from that book.
Well, that's good. That's cool.
Right.
That makes me want to go back and read that. It's always been on my to-do list, but it makes me want to read it more now.
It's my favorite Justice League one.
But Human Target issue 3, very good. I think it was extremely entertaining. Like, I was laughing constantly, which is a credit to it. And it kind of it gives us obviously some interaction with Guy and Booster, so that's kind of those two crossed off for now. And when I say crossed off, I just mean crossed off in the sense that we're clearly going through the rest of them, but Ice is going to be a constant factor. Ice is going to be here for each issue.
We still have the Russian Red, right? Mm-hmm. We have
Ted's
Fire,
next, obviously.
Yeah. Who else? Martian Manhunter at some point.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who else is on that team.
And
Black Canary.
Martian Manhunter's a fun one to interact with because Christopher Chance's whole thing is that he wears other people's faces, and Martian Manhunter can literally just do that. So,
right.
Interested to see if they play with that in any way.
Mm-hmm. So and I do like that each issue is a day, right? Yeah. Of him trying to survive, and if you look at the back cover, because I picked up this up physically, there's a calendar. And each day there's a day.
Actually, one of his narration points, because when he gets knocked out by Guy at the start and he wakes up, when they're driving to the restaurant before Guy shows up again, his narration, he's talking about how he actually is kind of thankful for this pain that he's got from being hit because it's masking the pain of the poisoning that's been creeping. So he's just happy for it to be something different, even if it's still unpleasant.
Right. And he compares it to the rhythm of the poison, and just all from getting the crap kicked out of him by Guy. It's a different pain, but it's welcome. And you're just like, damn. Yeah.
So, neat stuff. But the book's obviously been very good so far, and the art's been exceptional. It's, again, much like the other Tom King books, it's got its own voice, though. It doesn't just feel like it's a repeat of, Mr. Miracle or Rorschach. It feels like it's just doing its own thing. But still distinctly with a Tom King voice in there, which... It's impressive. It's impressive that it's so different from those, but it still feels it from the same person. So, take that for what you will. Matt, what are you giving the Human Target issue 3?
9.5.
Straight up there. I'll just go with a straight 9. I'll be a little reserved.